You know, one of the toughest questions that every sales leader has to figure out, is how do I find ways to drive growth with existing customers? There's really two parts of sales. There's getting new customers and then getting growth with the customers we have already. And we all know the incredibly high costs of going out and acquiring new customers altogether, the world of hunting. So let's talk a little bit about farming, because I think for most of us, that is the single biggest opportunity. And when we talk to sales leaders all over the world, that's the question they're all asking, which is, I've got the customer now, I've landed, how do I expand? I've got that initial relationship, how do I drive growth? And when we go out and we studied that question at Gartner, we found something really interesting. Because what you find is most of the strategies that all of us are applying right now to drive growth with existing customers not only don't work, but sometimes can actually work against you. They can actually harm you rather than help you. Because if you think about the account manager, they don't have one job, they've got two jobs. So absolutely, I've got to take my $20 million account and drive it to $25 million. But the one thing I absolutely must make sure that happens before anything else is before I grow that $20 million account to 25, whatever you do, don't make sure you lose the 20. The idea is I gotta find a way to make sure that I get that customer to stick around, that they're happy, that they won't leave. But at the same time, I've got to get them to do something different. Because from the customer's perspective, a decision to stick around, to just renew the contract, to buy the same number of seats, to engage in the same way across the coming years as they've done in the past years, that is a decision for what? That's a decision for status quo, for no change. Let's just keep on keeping on and make sure we keep doing what we've done in the past because it seems to work. But a decision to grow, so to buy more seats, to buy more capabilities, to add on services, to add on geographies, that's not a decision for status quo. That is a decision for change. And a change decision for an organization is completely different than a status quo decision. Now I've got to get all sorts of new people involved. I've got to run budgets. I've got to figure out how it fits in. I've got to figure, is this the right thing for our organization? On the seller side, it's I've got to grow but don't lose. And on the customer side, I'm asking them to change but not change. How in the world do I do that? It doesn't even make any sense when you say it out loud, right? So I got to get you to change but not change while I grow but not lose. When we went out and we studied hundreds of account managers all over the world, we found out they have an answer, at least in their mind. And the answer is the 88% of the account managers that we surveyed told us that the surest way to drive growth with existing customers is to deliver above and beyond service. What that says is that account managers, all of our account managers, essentially apply what we call a mental model to driving growth that creates a causal link between service provided and growth likelihood. 88% of account managers we surveyed told us the surest way to drive growth is to deliver above and beyond service. Now, why does that number matter? Well, that number matters because when we went out and studied that very question, we found out it actually doesn't work that way. That in fact, we could find absolutely no statistical relationship whatsoever between service provided and likelihood of a customer to grow. And that's a troubling thing to find when 88% of your account managers are working under an operational model that says that in fact is true when it isn't. Think about the cost to your organization of all that incremental delight that you seem to have created for your customers who are going to renew anyway, who are going to stick around anyway. And that is a huge cost to your organization, not just the cost of the actual work of creating that moment of delight, but the opportunity cost of the time your account managers could have been spending on doing the things that actually do drive growth. So what does drive growth? If it isn't service, if it isn't delight, what is it? And in fact, what we found is it's something else altogether that we've come to call customer improvement. Now, what is customer improvement? Well, more than anything else, what customer improvement really is different. Because a customer improvement conversation is not focused on the customer's relationship to us and what we've done with them together in the past. It's agnostic to the supplier and all about what that customer could be doing in the future. New ways to make money, save money, mitigate risk, approach opportunity that they themselves have failed to realize on their own despite all of their own independent learning. And what we find is the reason why this matters so much is because when you think about what a customer improvement conversation is, it's a conversation with a customer about how they could be doing things differently, how they can change. And ultimately, if you want to drive growth, that's what you've got to get your customer to do, is to change. But if you want your customer to change, you've got to give them a reason. And that's what customer improvement is. It's the reason. Now, that said, customer improvement conversations ultimately, I think, are not necessarily easy, right? So this is one of those things, I think, if you sit down and look at your star performers, they're doing this already. But the question for all of us is, how do I scale that? How do I get everyone else to engage my customers in that same kind of manner? And that's what we've really been studying a lot at Gartner in our sales practice over the last couple of years, is trying to understand how do we create an infrastructure for customer improvement in our organization. What are the best practices, the tools, the templates, the frameworks, the metrics that we need to create inside our organization to equip our sellers, our account managers, to engage our customers in a way that will drive growth and not just drive retention? So these are the kinds of ideas we're finding in our research, which we are super excited to share with organizations around the world because they can have a material impact immediately. If you're interested in finding more about these ideas, what we're finding in our research and how they might apply to your organization, how we can all collectively work together to make this happen for your account managers, we'd love to have that conversation. Contact us and we'd love to talk.